sure I just started recording because before we talk too much more about this, welcome to Mostly Horror Movie Night.
Mostly. All right, now hold up.
No, dude, we're going right into it.
Oh, you bitch.
Because Sean just brought up welcome to episode 13. Mm-hmm. Sean just brought up something. We're talking about what we want to talk about for our intro. This is natural. I'm eating rice cakes. It's ASMR. Sean just brought up a movie because we're talking, what do we want to talk about before we go into our very fun interview with the director and lead actress of Bloodthirsty. But Sean brings up a movie trailer that just came out, and I gotta hear his explanation for why he thinks this is good.
Yeah, it's not that I think it looks amazing.
Okay.
I think it looks interesting. I saw one trailer for it. The movie Separation. I asked Steve, hey, have you seen the trailer for Separation? And he immediately goes, yeah, it looks awful. All right, fuck you, dude. Like, it looked interesting. But I will say I just YouTubed it because it just came up as an ad. So I saw like a little teaser trailer. And the thumbnail that I'm seeing is questionable. So now you have me, whatever.
Let me say one thing. So my thing is, I apologize to the listeners for how chaotic of an intro this was, but it had to happen. So I saw In the Earth, the new horror film that came out, probably one of the bigger horror films that's come out this year. And before it were a bunch of trailers. One trailer for a movie Profile looks really good, made by the people that made Searching, all on a computer screen. But I also saw the trailer for Separation. Let me also say, we here at Mostly Horror Movie Night don't want to shit on horror movies. I think it's a consensus in the horror community, at least by a lot of the leaders, some of the people at Bloody Disgusting and Fangoria and that sort of stuff. Like, no one wants to gatekeep, or at least, people shouldn't want to gatekeep horror. People shouldn't want to bring down horror, only bring up horror. And as a new horror advocate, pretty new, I agree. And I don't want to be pretentious or anything like that. I was not a fan of the trailer, and I will tell you my reasons why. It looks like I just want to have jump scares all the time sort of thing. It looks like the plot is simply a device that is being used to show you jump scares.
Okay.
The creature thing looks like it wants to be Slender Man and Crooked Man and Babadook all at the same time, but also has this mask on, which I'm sure there's a reason for the mask. Mm-hmm. I just saw that trailer and instantly said to myself, I don't think I want to see this.
Okay.
So that's my thing. I'm not going to say it's going to be a bad movie. Those are the things that hit me instantly, and I'm like, I don't know.
So, okay. So, all right. My retort. This is what I'm going to say. First off, you're absolutely right. We don't want to shit on horror. We don't want to piss people off. I don't want to discredit anyone making movies. The fact 100%. That anyone is out there making movies is amazing.
Yep.
Even if your movie sucks, it's amazing that you made it. Yes. And that's the other thing too, is why have a horror podcast if we can't be honest about how we feel about movies? This is all, like, none of these are objective truths. These are just initial thoughts, opinions, whatever, from two people with specific taste. So and I'm going to try to, you know what I mean? I really like Lee Wannell tweeted, and he said, he was talking about Twitter, and he was saying that I don't remember the exact tweet, so this is an exact quote, but he was saying he tweeted once about like a Deftones album being amazing, like their latest album or something being amazing. And he was like, and because of that tweet, their like manager hit him up and was like, hey, do you want to direct one of our music videos? And he said, and he like talked a little bit more about it. And then he said, so the moral of this tweet is talk about things you like on the internet and on Twitter instead of things that you hate. Like putting positivity out there. But at the same time, it's okay to like to express that you're not in love with certain things. So I've been rambling, but
no, totally. Yeah. I was looking up Lee Wannell's tweet while you said that, and you nailed most of the bullet points on his tweet. So
and I loved that tweet, and I've been, I was just talking about I guess you'll hear me later in the episode talk about how when I was first getting into horror, I was a little bit more pretentious about it. I was very, I won't say that I was gatekeepy about other people, but I very much so had like a nose up in the air. Like I was weaving through garbage to find specific gems. And And, you know, like there were a lot of movies that I just instantly dismissed because I was looking for something specific. And there's a lot of movies that I probably passed over and missed a lot of the merit on because I was searching for something. And because it wasn't what I was searching for, I thought that it was trash. And that's not cool. Yeah. So again, when you say, or when one of us says like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to like that movie. Or even if we simplify it, we say that movie looks like it sucks. What we mean is, I don't think I'm going to like that movie. That's not to disrespect any of the people that made that movie.
Exactly.
Now back to this movie. I saw the teaser for this movie and it looked fun. Like I don't think that I saw the same trailer that you did. I definitely did not see like a full whatever. Trailer? No, it was like a teaser, whatever. Because that's what I try to stick to anyway. I try to avoid. But now I'm gonna
showed a ton. So.
Really, I'm gonna watch it now. But it didn't even look like it might be. Again, this is talking about your taste, Steve. It didn't even look like it might just be fun. Like it totally looked like because like an example of the kind of movie that you were just talking about, in my opinion, would be Lights Out. Like I didn't love Lights Out. It felt very jump scary. Whatever to me, for my taste. A lot of people love jump scares. It's clearly that movie did what it needed to do, despite what I have to say about it. But so it didn't even look fun to you.
No, I think the reason that I didn't like it so quickly was because the monster or creature or whatever in the trailer just feels so extremely disconnected from anything. Like it doesn't feel like it belongs based on what the plot of the movie is. I think the mother in a family dies, like, you know, it's a father, daughter, and mother, and the mom, I think the mom dies, and the kid, you know, sees this thing, but it looks like, it's funny because there's a TikTok guy that has like a big demon creature that like makes breakfast for him. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like kind of the Crooked Man, but with like a weird like doll face with a long nose, but it doesn't have any sort of thing. Whereas like the movie that came out last year that I still haven't seen, called Come Play, about the child, I think the child has autism, and he uses this like tablet sort of thing to like help him out. It has Britta from Community in it. But like, that creature has some sort of tie, you know, the way it looks and when it's there. So I think that maybe I just don't know enough. I don't know, but it just didn't sit for me. I mean, like, truthfully, it's so funny because you said separation and I had that written down on things to talk about that I ended up like thinking that I didn't even want to talk about it because I didn't want to like say whatever. So
there's while you were talking, you made me realize another point that I want to touch on, and that's that a lot of the time with horror movies that are made that aren't indie movies, a lot of the time it's a studio that is trying to kick out. They know that horror movies they don't do like amazingly well, but they know that they're going to make a certain amount of profit on it. They'll like kick out like 2 or 3 horror movies a year that they know that teenagers are going to go see on dates or whatever. And they'll usually just assign people to projects that don't really care about the project or whatever, or that do care about the project, but they're working. Do you get what I mean? Like it's a money-making thing. Yes. Oftentimes
from the studio's point of view, the people that are making the film put their heart and soul into it, but realistically it's you know, they want to spit stuff out quickly. Right.
And so it's just, it could be one of those things, especially like, because they'll tend to jump on some sort of a bandwagon. I know that like jumping on a creepypasta, weird Slenderman-esque character has something that's like, So that it could totally just be a quick cash grab flick. I'm going to actually watch the trailer after this, but
it could also be that
I don't know. I just saw.
It could also be that the trailer was not good, and the movie is good. Yeah. Because like, as an example, I got Ready or Not right behind me. This poster right here. I remember seeing the trailer for Ready or Not in theaters, and I thought it was not going to be good at all. I saw it in theaters on a whim, not because I was like really excited to, but just because I, you know, try to see most movies that are in theaters. Yep. And it ended up being one of my favorite movies, like probably top 25 of all time. You know, so it could be a bad trailer.
It follows. I saw a trailer for It Follows. Yeah, I did not. I thought it was just going to be a weird teens having sex, like whatever movie. Like I truly thought that it was just going to be about like, don't have sex or like, you know, trying. I thought it was a shit horror movie that was made for teens. And then Cam and everyone wanted to go see it opening night. And I was like, all right, like, sure. And it's one of my favorite fucking movies. So yeah. You never
what
know
we're
with
saying
horror.
is, yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
You absolutely never know.
You just got to go in.
I'm glad you brought it up because
Yeah.
it's funny because I was gonna bring it up and I didn't. Related to that, a good horror film that is whatever it wants to be is the movie Bloodthirsty. Sean's laughing at me right now because we just cut into this segment because I lost my train of thought, and so we just backtracked a bunch, and so you guys will never know what just happened.
Yeah,
in the past 35 seconds.
Nice segue.
Yeah, it's great. You guys will. You can't tell that it's edited. That's movie magic right there. But so this week on our podcast we have Lauren, the lead actress, and Amelia, the director of the film Bloodthirsty. And Bloodthirsty came out a couple of days ago. We're recording this on April 27th. The movie came out last Friday. And this will come out, on I think May 2nd. So it'll be out for about a week. But it's a film that is very unique and is very fun. I honestly don't want to give too much away. Again, like we've said before, when we have people on our show, if you haven't already, go watch that film before you listen to our interview, because it'll probably spoil some stuff. I mean, it'll definitely spoil some stuff. But I think that film in particular kind of gives if you give things away too early, it might ruin your experience. I feel like if I didn't know things about that film before I watched it, I might have liked it even more than I did.
Okay.
Which I mean, who knows? I still enjoyed it, but I think, maybe there's the possibility of liking it more if I didn't know, end results or whatever.
Yeah. I thought about what if I didn't know anything about it. Because obviously the only thing I knew going into that movie was what kind of a movie it was.
Exactly. That's exactly how I am too. Yeah.
It probably would have been even more fun to be like, oh, this is no shit, So with that, we're not going to tell you even what the movie is about in this little thing. We'll just, in the interview, if you stick around before watching it, just know you're doing yourself a disservice.
Exactly. And it's weird because normally we record our intro to the episode, a little behind the scenes sort of thing. We record the intro to the episode after we record the interview. It's like the second part that we do, but we're recording it early. So we can't even say like, oh, what did you think of the interview? That was a fun interview that we did, because we haven't truly done it yet. We're doing it tomorrow.
Usually our intros are littered with they were such a nice person. I don't know if they're nice. Yeah. I assume that they're going to be nice, but I could be wrong.
If Lauren and Amelia aren't the sweetest people, I'm going to be sad.
I'm going to be a little heartbroken. Exactly. I'm going to be honest about it.
And the reason that we're even recording this a day early is because Sean here goes, hey, I hope we're not doing anything Wednesday because I'm getting my second vaccination shot, which is really important. Don't get me wrong. I got my sticker right here, but we had an interview scheduled for 4 weeks ahead. I book guests pretty far ahead, but it's okay. We're gonna power through. Sean will have that second vaccination pumping through his veins while we're doing the interview tomorrow.
Yeah, I am hoping that I won't be dead while we're doing the interview, and that's all I can cross my fingers for. I bought a ton of watermelon. I went to the store and I bought orange juice, watermelon, cucumbers, berries, kale. Because kale's like the superfood. I was just like, I'm gonna pump my body with nutrients. I'm gonna go and eat a bunch of healthy food tonight. So, because tomorrow I'm gonna go. Well, tomorrow being Wednesday, the day that we do the interview.
You're going to feel fine and be like, I have all this extra shit in my fridge now.
That's fine. I love watermelon.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this little intro bit. Again, this was for the chaotic nature.
Yeah, this one was wild.
It was pretty fun, but thank you guys again for listening as always, and enjoy our interview with Lauren and Amelia from Bloodthirsty. All right, we are here with Amelia Moses and Lauren Beatty, the director and lead actress, respectively, of the movie Bloodthirsty. Amelia is a director, producer, and writer, previously releasing her debut feature Bleed With Me in 2020. Lauren is an actress, writer, musician, and sketch comedian. She starred in Amelia's Bleed With Me, as well as appearances in 2017's Jigsaw and the Nicolas Cage film Pay the Ghost. Thank you guys for being with us today. We're super stoked to have you.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. Yeah.
Yep.
It's such an intro. I feel like we have an intro.
Wow.
Listen, we gotta.
It's like, oh, okay. I've done things. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. We got, people might not know who you are. We want to let them know,
Yeah.
you're not
good.
just small potatoes. Like we
He's good at those.
Yeah. So we're here today to talk about Bloodthirsty, which is a film that obviously, Amelia, you directed and Lauren, you starred in, that came out. This is going to be released, I believe, on the 2nd of May. So will have been out for about 10 days or so, about a week. Amelia, if you don't mind, just to kind of kick things off, can you just kind of describe the film? Obviously, as we always say on this podcast, we're going to spoil things. Watch the film, pause it right now. Yeah, pause this podcast right now and watch the film before you listen to this, because we obviously want to go in depth. So, but yeah, just kind of describe a little bit, just a brief synopsis, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so it's about indie singer-songwriter who's kind of had a successful first album, and she's kind of struggling to write her second one. And so she takes up an invitation from a bit of an elusive record producer to make the second album in his weird house in the woods. And she brings her girlfriend Charlie along with her. And then kind of through the course of the film, she develops a bit of a taste for blood and flesh, and things get weird from there.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect description. So I know that the film was written by Lowell, and then I'm sorry, what was the other writer's name?
Wendy Hiltut was the other writer and the producer.
Yes.
Yeah,
So they wrote the film. You took it on. They found you, correct, and you took on the film, like, from the directorial standpoint.
Yeah, I got in touch with them through one of the other producers, Mike Peterson, only like 2 months before we started shooting. It was a very last minute thing. And I was looking for some kind of friendly distribution advice for my first feature. And so I was put in touch with Mike, since he's, a horror Canadian producer. And he just happened to be looking for someone for this project. And I assumed it was like still in development and, it was going to be like a year or something. Yeah. And they're like, no, we shoot in Calgary in a couple of months. And then I read the script and I showed them my previous work, and, it seemed like I was the right fit. And then it all kind of happened pretty quickly, and then got Lauren on board, and she came on board like a week before we started shooting. So
oh, shit,
both of us
really?
were kind of like thrown into it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's amazing. So obviously taking on a film like this that already has a concept, already has things written into it, that obviously focuses on the indie artists exploration of making the second album and that sort of thing. The film also touches on some other things that are obviously very important. So Bloodthirsty is a film that acknowledges a lesbian relationship as being commonplace. Whereas like other films might be a coming of age story, or it might be frowned upon, or whatever it may be. Can you guys kind of talk about the significance of that, and just making a film where the world is the way the world is,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I mean, oh no, sorry. Lauren, go. This is your question.
So Canadian? No, you go. No, you
go.
No,
I'm so sorry.
No,
we're from the Midwest in Michigan, so we totally understand that.
Same kind of vibe.
Yeah. So sorry, Amelia. So yeah, for me, I mean, I think reading the script, like, that was something that really struck me. It was just like exactly what you said, like how commonplace they did make this relationship. Mm-hmm. I think maybe in some of the initial edits of the script, it wasn't as commonplace, but I think by the edit that like I saw, it was, and I know that was kind of like a conscious decision on Wendy and Lowell's part, to have it not be any different than if they were a straight couple, and that is really not something that you see a lot. Like you were saying, Stephen, it's like a lot of the times if there's queer characters, if they're like the main characters, it's about coming of age, or it's a coming out story, or it's like a traumatic thing about being gay. And, as much as those are like very valid and true stories, it is nice to see a queer relationship be like the central relationship in a film, and it just like being there and just existing, and not having a huge deal made out of it. So that to me was like such a breath of fresh air, and sadly progressive.
Right.
Like there's still a lot of work to do, but I think normalizing things in this way is definitely like a good step in the right direction.
Absolutely.
It was really awesome. And also, that they cared about casting queer actors as the queer parts. Like that was huge for me because it doesn't happen too often. So when it does, it's always, it feels like a big win.
Yeah, of course.
So that was really cool for me.
Well, I feel like you also probably, I mean, not to put words in your mouth, or I guess I'm curious, what does it do for you as an actress to be able to embody a role that's filling like those, that's being normal, as opposed to like, if you're acting in a film where, a queer relationship is not normal or it's frowned upon or whatever, like, does it let you embody that character easier because you're like, I don't feel like I'm, taking any undue steps or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just feels so, like, I guess validating, and just like very natural. I've always said, and especially in the last couple of years, I've made it more of my like MO with my career, but like, I want to play a part in normalizing queer relationships and queer stories and telling queer stories. And so like, I'm also writing and producing my own content as well. And a lot of that centers around like queer stories. So yeah, for me to just like, I mean, I've said this so many times, but to read the script and be like, okay, she's a pop star werewolf is like badass enough. But for it to be like, she's a queer pop star werewolf and like, there's not a huge deal made about the queer part. Like that was just so cool for me. It kind of checked all the boxes. So
absolutely. Representation is obviously so important, not just in the film itself, but in the casting, like you said. And we have so many movies that demonstrate people not seeing queer relationships as okay and then explaining why they're okay. But we need more, that just show them as being okay without needing to talk about it,
Exactly. It's like you don't always have to like validate why a relationship is straight. So like
exactly
why would you constantly have to validate that they're not straight?
Or make it a plot point either.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
It's just like, oh, that's not the plot of the film. Like there's other stuff.
Yeah.
And they're just existing the same way a straight couple would.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Greg Brick, who plays Vaughn in the film, he made a really funny observation in an interview we did where he was like, the movie is actually a werewolf coming out story.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like,
that's fair. Yeah.
A queer coming out story. And I was like, I like that. It's so true.
That is very true. So before we get into the werewolf stuff, one other thing, and Lauren, you and I kind of on our Instagram page went back and forth just a little bit because you had some funny posts when the trailer for Bloodthirsty came out.
Yeah.
There was some comments, as there are on YouTube with anything that is posted. I guess I kind of want you guys just to talk about any responses that you've seen on social media. I'd like to hear positive and negative, because I'm sure that there's the people that are going to say one thing or another about it. But it has gotten good responses as well. So can you guys just kind of talk about the social response to the film?
Yeah. So, I mean, the stories that you're referencing that I posted, I mean, I was sent the link to our official trailer when it got posted. I think it was on Fandango, if that makes sense. I think that's what it was. And I was looking at the comments, because can't help it. And I was just noticing that so many of them were just like either just completely homophobic or like completely insane. And it was so funny to me though, because I was like, who are these people that are just like behind their keyboards being like, lesbians,
and why do they care?
Right.
Like I don't want any lesbians in my horror. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Was like, I'm tired of these Hollywood horror films pushing the gay agenda. And I remember me and Amelia texted about it, and Amelia was like, wait, so they think it looks like a Hollywood horror film? I
was like, it's a low budget film shot in Edmonton, Alberta. Like, this isn't like what you think it is.
Yeah.
But like, we'll take it, a little compliment.
Yeah, there you go.
You gotta find the silver lining, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought it was so funny because I'm like, it's just so crazy to me, like these really closed-minded people that, they get, I almost feel like some horror fans I don't want to generalize, but like, I don't know. I think some horror fans are so precious about horror that if anyone comes on the scene and like tries to do something a little bit different, or like frame something in a different way, or like, you know, do a common trope in a slightly different way, they get like so like territorial about it, and like protective and defensive and like just like mean. And it's so crazy to me, because it's like, how are we supposed to like grow? Like, how is the genre supposed to grow and like change, and like how are we supposed to see anything new if people just like aren't okay with change, you know? So,
it's I think it's definitely in the horror, you know, the horror community. Granted, horror splits into so many subgenres. I would say that you obviously have your pros and cons of it, of like those communities, but fandoms in general are just so like, people hate people messing with stuff. And it's also really funny, like the whole agenda thing is crazy to me. Like the fact that any movie or any media or art or anything acknowledges that gay people exist, you know, it's like then it's an agenda for some reason. Like just acknowledging the existence of something that you disagree with, which is stupid, you know, is somehow pushing it. And that's just crazy to me. You're absolutely right. There's wild people out there. It's sad.
You were saying, Amelia, it's like everyone's like, oh, like horror shouldn't be political, but it's like horror has historically
always been.
Like that's what it is. Why it was like made, essentially. So
most art is making some sort of commentary about something, whether it be political or about society. You know what I mean? Like when people try to, like, just because you were enjoying something at a surface level and not acknowledging like what else was going on beneath it. Not that every piece of media has to do those things, but it's a dumb argument that people make whenever they touch on that. It drives me nuts.
So I'm curious, Amelia, as a director, you know, it's your vision, you know what I mean? Like it's written for you, but you're creating this vision for the film. So when you are handed this script, what goes into kind of creating the vision for the film? Are you, was the script written, you know, a lot with blocking and visuals that way, or are you kind of were you allowed to really world build with the film?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really a question of if I was allowed, I was going to do it
of
no
course.
matter what. Because, I feel like it was my first time directing something I hadn't written. So that was like a really new process for me. And being a director for hire was a new process for me. But I knew that I had to do my take on it as best I could, because otherwise kind of what's the point of hiring a director to some extent.
Right.
So it was really kind of like, how do I want to do it with my sensibilities and stuff? And so there were things, maybe little details I added to the script in that capacity to kind of make it my own a little bit more. It was pretty open when I got on board, apart from kind of like the creature design, because I knew there was like Wendy and Mike, the two producers, had already kind of established this idea of more of a hybrid look. I think for budget reasons, but also just like, you know, a person in a hairy suit can be tough to do well, and you know, can be cheesy and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So that was kind of established. So when I came on board, then I was kind of like, okay, where do I go with that? Like with those limitations. But no, I mean, it was pretty open to kind of play around, and definitely on set, we kind of messed around with some of the dialogue and stuff. And I like that process with actors too, of like, how do we need to say all these lines? Can we take some stuff out? What's the kind of maybe more minimalist approach or whatever? And then making sure that the actors are really happy with everything that's going to go on in the scene. I know we had obviously a lot of scenes with both Lauren and Greg, and I feel like both of you guys were very like into that process.
Like sometimes, you know, you get to a point, or like a certain scene where you've already shot things like leading up, and there's whatever has happened has maybe felt like a little different than like how it was exactly written. So when you get to a certain scene, you're like, this doesn't make sense anymore. Or like it should be altered slightly, or like, you know, these few words should change because of, you know, this dynamic that's happening that we didn't know would be happening until we shot it. So just like altering a little bit like that, I think just is kind of like a given. It's probably always going to happen.
On
on most sets. I think we probably have more leeway on something that's like more indie than you would on, you know, like a big Hollywood blockbuster film. I don't think you have as much freedom with changing up a word here and there, but with indie, I think that's something that's like really cool about it, is that there does feel like there's a sorry.
No, I love it.
Her time in the spotlight. But yeah, I just feel like there's a bit more room to sort of like play around with that type of thing.
Yeah. And that's why you can get some amazing indie films, because you have, I mean, you might not have an amazing length of time, but if you're shooting digitally, if you're, you know, especially with a small cast, like you can experiment with different things. And so that's fantastic. And it obviously works in Bloodthirsty. One thing that I do want to mention, another aspect of the film, obviously it being co-written by Lowell, who for people don't know is a singer-songwriter from Canada who has written a lot of music for individual artists. I think like most recently and notably was Madison Beer, who I didn't even know was a singer, but sure. But yeah, I mean, she's written some straight bops. So she's a co-writer of the film, and the film utilizes music so frequently. I mean, it's so close to being a musical. Like you could easily make it a musical, which horror musical is always my favorite avenue. Yeah, I
didn't even think about that.
But so can you? I want to ask you guys both kind of the same and separate questions. So how hard was it to utilize music in the film that way? Specifically, so for Lauren, you know, having to sing those songs because you were the one singing them, you know, was it difficult to do that? And then Amelia, have you worked with music previously in other films, or did you have to kind of, you know, learn your hand at doing it, that sort of thing? So whoever wants to answer first.
Yeah, so I mean, that was one of the huge selling points to me, like to come onto this film. I mean, there were so many, but one of them was definitely the music. And I was sent a couple of the songs for the audition, and as soon as I heard them, I was just like, shit, like these are bops. Like they're really good. They're so catchy. They're like haunting.
Yes.
They're so like atmospheric, I guess. And it was like as soon as I heard them, I could really picture just like the tone of the whole tone of the film. And that just like completely sold me. And I was already a fan of Lowell before any of this. Like I'd listened to her album Lone Wolf many times years prior, and like I was a huge fan already. So that was just like an added really bonus to coming onto this project. And then like so like Amelia said, I came on fairly late, like about a week before we were shooting. So I had a week to learn all of the songs and learn how to play piano. So so that was, and I was working full time that week as well, like 9 to 5. So I would work, and then I would go to 2 nights. I think I got to actually go to Lowell's house and like go over the songs with her on her piano, which was really awesome.
Nice.
That she was in town and I was able to do that. But then the other 3 or so nights, I went to a piano teacher near my house after work and just kind of worked on, you know, the actual parts that you would see on camera. But it was, like you said, like it could have easily been a musical. But to me, I'm like, this is even better than a musical, because it's like a musical without it being like a really cheesy musical.
Yeah.
You know, like, so you're still getting these like really epic songs that are like woven into like the fabric of the film, but it's not like over the top corny or something. It's like done in a really authentic way.
Absolutely.
So that was very cool. And like as a musician myself, like I've been writing music and singing like longer than I've been acting. So it was just so awesome to me to have like, you know, I'm acting in it, and then I'm also singing, which is like another passion. And then I'm also playing a queer character. It was just like,
Yep. Seems like the perfect role. Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah, it was great.
And then Amelia, I just want to know, have you worked with music in previous films? Because I feel like it flows so seamlessly. Like obviously it being written by Lowell has its advantages, but you were able to mesh everything together so well. Can you just talk about that experience of utilizing music in the film?
Yeah, it was definitely a new challenge for me. I like have used music as part of, like a soundtrack or whatever, like in the background of a film before, but not in this way, and like with live singing and stuff. And we shot all the recording studio stuff the first week. So that's why Lauren had to like learn stuff so quickly too. It was like there wasn't necessarily time to practice before we were actually shooting. And I didn't think we were going to be able to record the stuff on the day, but of course we were in a studio and the sound person was like, yeah, we have the right mic, we have the setup, like let's capture her voice. So that was really exciting because as soon as you can get something on the day, it just like is so much more fun as a director.
Yeah.
I think similar experience to Lauren. As soon as I read the script, I looked up Lowell's work. I wasn't familiar with her work, and it made me that much more confident. And it was like, okay, the songs are going to be good because it's a hard thing to get right.
Yeah.
And then most of them were written before I came on board. A couple of them, like Bloodthirsty, was written in pre-production, I think, because the film wasn't called that at the time. And then we were like, okay, this is really maybe a core song that we're going to be using in the film. Yeah. And then for me, it was more about kind of just like curating when and where we'd hear stuff and kind of like what parts of the song and do we hear any repetition and trying to feel like it was always a progression. And that was in the script, but I also wanted to make sure that was like shown as much as possible on screen, that like it's a work in progress. I find sometimes in like movies about music, they just kind of write it and it's like perfect and already produced. And it's just like, oh, it's done, versus it feeling like a creative process. So it's kind of a matter of working with Lauren to feel that way and not feel too polished too early, so that it still felt like a progression for her as a character, but also for the music. And it felt like they were kind of writing something. We were watching them write something. Yeah. And it doesn't really go too in depth in kind of all the technical aspects of like, producing an album, but it's at least still, I hope that it feels like we're watching someone write something on screen for moments.
I would say you nailed that. Yeah.
Yes, there is. Okay. So I've been a member of a band for quite some time, and the scene where you are recording vocal takes, it's early on, but you're recording vocal takes and it keeps chopping. It's like nope. I was like having PTSD.
The stress.
I was like, damn, that's it was exactly that process, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a while. Yeah. But yeah, that was definitely to a T how that went.
With I guess this is kind of a two-part question. I don't know fully what I'm asking. It's I guess it's two things. Great. So yeah, I'm gonna figure it out as we go.
I
so
love
Lauren,
questions, but they are yet.
Yeah. So this one's for Lauren. With you joining on, so last minute and only having that week and having that 9 to 5 and trying to learn piano and literally just trying to memorize stuff. How difficult was it for you to get, wow, what was that? How difficult was it for you to get into that character? Luckily you had, those boxes checking off for you, but into that character, both with your relationship with Catherine and with Greg and like that dynamic, because you and Greg specifically have such a cool chemistry throughout that movie. So did it just sort of naturally happen between you two if you didn't have a lot of time to explore it? So there's a question in there somewhere.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that we were very lucky that, instantly when the three of us met, we just had this like immediate chemistry, which, I mean, that's more than half the battle, I would say. So that was just extremely lucky. Kat is just like such a sweet, kind, like open person. Greg is the same. He's like such a jokester in real life. I know he like plays bad guys all the time, but he's literally just cracking jokes left, right, and center.
He's so goofy.
Yeah. Really? So I think like we immediately kind of connect on that level because I like to tell jokes every now and then too. And then with like Kat and I, there was just this, natural chemistry of like just being two queer women who, this is our like lived experience. So I think it was just very kind of like seamless for us to just like have that chemistry in these roles because that just like is us. But yeah, there wasn't a lot of prep time. And I've said this a couple times, but like I think in retrospect, just through these interviews that we've been doing, I've been like thinking more about how it was kind of useful for me to actually not have so much prep time, because like for example, the transformation scene was on the third day of shooting of like 19. So
Yeah.
So, you know, kind of just being thrown into it, and same with the music stuff. I mean, I was, as a person, dealing with a lot of the same things Gray's character is dealing with, like just in getting this role and being like, okay, you just have to leave, and then you have to just immediately start shooting, and you just don't have time to like have imposter syndrome or
Yep.
like guess yourself. Like there's just literally no fucking time. So
Yep.
just like, do it and get over it. So it was useful, like it was helpful in that way. And then with the transformation scene, I think it really did serve me in a way too, because there's something, you know, ultimately you can practice or like have an idea of what you think you're going to do in your head, but ultimately like whatever comes out of you in the moment is like what comes out. And I don't think there's a benefit to rehearsing that necessarily, unless it's for like a camera movement. You just kind of have to like let your guard down and just like get real nitty gritty with it, I guess.
Yeah.
Real primal.
Acting to a T.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that was actually to my advantage in a way.
Hell yeah. Yeah, the good thing about not having any time to think means no time to overthink. So, you know, you just got to jump right into it.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And it's funny because you just answered the next question that I had up, which was going to talk about the transformation scene, which you literally the question was, how did it affect your, you know, building your character?
It's all werewolves here on out. Let's go.
It's all werewolves here on out. So
bring it on.
So are you so obviously we've buried the lead for a while and kind of talked about it, but you know, it's Bloodthirsty is a werewolf film at the end, at least, you know, at its core. Are you both fans of werewolf films? Have you I'm sure you've watched some at least in preparation for this. So can you talk about some of your favorites, or you know, ones that you might have seen and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a ton out there, and I haven't even seen all of them, but I definitely was a fan. Like when Mike was like, oh, we have this project, maybe you're interested in reading it. It's a werewolf movie. I was like, oh, all right, cool. Like that kind of definitely sparked my interest.
Yeah.
Because I remember watching American Werewolf in London when I was like 11 or something. Yes. And I think I watched with my parents and they went to bed. And then it was the dream sequence. So I was watching by myself with the dream sequence with the Nazis come in and shoot his family. And I turned it off and I was like, I can't do this. Yeah. And I think I watched the rest of it the next day or something, like in the daytime. But yeah, I've like, it's kind of just the one that everyone always talks about, but there's a reason for that. And it's like really an amazing movie. And definitely the transformation scene is so unique and such a kind of like, you know, like everything is kind of drawing from that, kind of from that point because of the effects and because of the way it's done and everything. So that was definitely an inspiration for me. And I do really like Ginger Snaps as well. I saw that kind of later on in life, and I was kind of skeptical of like the metaphor of it at first, like, oh, okay, she gets her period and then she becomes a werewolf, but like it's so much more nuanced than that, and like is about so much more. And I love that film as well.
Absolutely.
It's funny because we recorded, so we have different segments of the show. So we recorded the intro yesterday, and we recorded our like game bit that we do at the end yesterday, and we talked about American Werewolf in London and Ginger Snaps. Yeah, because you're right, there aren't a lot of werewolf horror films, but what we're realizing right now is that we need more werewolf horror films.
Absolutely.
I think that's the consensus, and you guys are good.
And there's a lot that are like coming out all of a sudden. It's like a thing again. It feels like.
I'm excited. Yeah, I was about to say.
There's like a lot. All of a sudden, it's like a thing.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
That's perfect. One quick thing. Curve. Exactly. I do want to know your opinion on werewolf films. Before that, though, really quick, before we stop talking about American Werewolf in London, I just saw a tweet that I wanted to mention that the Academy Award for Best Makeup and Hairstyling was launched in celebration of horror effects, and American Werewolf in London won it 40 years ago.
Hell yeah.
So that was
Okay.
like, which was like
Yeah.
for the transformation and all that sort of
Yeah.
thing. So
Cool.
because it's so
It's
iconic.
unmatched. Yeah.
It's pretty timeless, and like even now, like, you know, it still looks pretty, you still feel it, like it
Yep.
doesn't feel dated really to me. And just the way it's all kind of done in bright light as well, like it's not hiding
just
anything.
daytime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That scene hurts. That scene hurts to watch. It's
Yeah.
agonizing.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, no, great film.
Lauren, what about you?
Yeah.
I want to know your opinion on werewolf
So
films.
I'll be totally transparent. I had never seen one werewolf film before we shot Bloodthirsty. I watched American Werewolf in London because of Amelia's recommendation to watch it. And then I watched a couple other kind of shorts, but they weren't necessarily like werewolf films. They were just more about like for inspiration for like the character and like the movements of the body and stuff like that. But so now I've only seen two, American Werewolf in London and Bloodthirsty.
Bloodthirsty.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
But I mean, I don't know if things like episodes of Bitten count or, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, so I hadn't had much exposure before doing this. And I think honestly, like, again, that was kind of because this film is like a different take on the werewolf story. And because it's, you know, whereas other films, it's like once they transform into the werewolf, it's like you're just an animal now. Like that's what's happening. You're an animal and you were a person and now you're an animal. But in this film, because you can see them existing at the same time, and it's kind of like this, like a hybrid, which I think is like essentially what they were going for.
Yeah.
Like this more interesting kind of like still very humanized, like you can still see my expressions, like you can still see me emoting through the werewolf makeup.
Yeah.
And so because this was different in that way, I mean, I don't think there's really anything I could have watched that would have like been the exact idea we were going for. Do you know what I mean? So it could only influence me so much. But that was kind of cool. Like it was cool to go into this and know that like the werewolf genre like is a popular genre, but like we're doing a different take on it. And this we're going to be adding kind of like a new story to that genre and doing a different take. So that was just really cool to know that like I was going to get to be a part of that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It is such a different take.
One thing that I thought was interesting as well that I don't think was necessarily like an intentional subversion of the writers, but I remember watching a remake of The Wolfman, I think like with Benicio del Toro or something, I think from like the 2000s or something like that. And the narrative is always like, yeah, obviously it's usually a straight relationship, but like the woman then has to like kill the werewolf because like he can no longer exist in our society, basically. Same with American Werewolf in London. Like she doesn't kill him, but she's there at the end. But then this film is kind of different than that. And I thought that was kind of interesting how, because so many of the films end that way, even Ginger Snaps, you know, it's not a romantic relationship, but like she still has to die at the end because she can't live in our society. And then this is, I don't know if Grace should be living in our society, but she's there, and it's you know, like it's it kind of has a different final choice, which I think was interesting to me as well.
It feels different because of the fact that at least from my viewing of it, it feels like there's more control there. It's not, you know, as associated with like a full moon. It's more a transformation you can control, or like anger based, that sort of thing. So I feel like it has more of the emotional tie to it than another werewolf movie where it's just like at the beck and call of the moon and you don't have any control, which I think makes it even better because it adds to the emotion of the film, you know, tying in the transformation with that.
Yeah, most werewolf movies where like either the protagonist or just a likable character is the one turning into the werewolf, one of the underlying messages seems to be like controlling that monster within and losing that battle, where this one is more about like understanding the not even monster within, but just the more like animalistic parts of us, and like intertwining and it's really more about learning about yourself as opposed to like being overcome by the Mr. Hyde inside, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you guys absolutely nailed it on that aspect. Yeah. So,
you know, I think there's like, I think maybe in this film, like the werewolves are more relatable because it's like, you know, technically we could all have a werewolf inside of us.
yeah.
We kind of do, right? Like everyone has like that primal side of them that, you know, comes out maybe at times that we don't want it to, or whatever it is that we're like constantly suppressing or like being told that we have to suppress. And so you can kind of like recognize yourself in that of like she let it out and it didn't go so well.
Yeah.
Like she now knows it's in there. And she's gonna she now has to just like carry on with her life and live with it, you know?
Yeah. In a way, so actually I just realized this question. Sorry, Steve. Is it is it in any way a commentary on like mental illness, do you think? Or just like people dealing with mental health struggles? Because at first it's kind of acknowledging like more of a schizophrenia, hallucination sort of thing. Like, do you think that that's in there at all, or
not for me.
Okay.
Because I think in the end, like it's not anything that's in her brain or anything like that. Like it is truly happening. I mean, horror uses that trope a lot in terms of like tying mental illness in, which, you know, I think there's something you could look at there. But, I think for this particular film, that was kind of more the jumping off point for just like how the people around her are dealing with it versus what's actually happening. She's being kind of told, okay, you have to do these things to kind of like fix this. But then obviously it's real and it's not psychosis or anything like that. So for me, it's more kind of about what Lauren's saying of like those darker parts of yourself. And then in the context of the creative process and like being an artist. And I think when I read it, I was kind of just like, do you have to be a monster to be an artist? Like, maybe you do.
That's fair.
Real looking in the mirror.
So that was kind of the like through line for me. Like, yes, I don't know. Sometimes artists are shitty people. So should be the tagline for the movie.
Sometimes
the good shirt. Yeah.
So one thing that we like to talk about here on this podcast is where everyone got their start in the genre, not necessarily the first thing that you did in the genre, but what you remember. Amelia, you talked about American Werewolf in London, but I'm curious for both of you, what's like the earliest horror memory that you guys have in terms of, you know, either stumbling upon something scary or your first horror movie, or what kind of got you into that sort of genre? Whoever would like to go first.
Yeah, for me, my earliest memory of like a horror film that really affected me was Rosemary's Baby. I just remember like as a kid, I mean, I was always so infatuated with movies because clearly wanted to be an actress. But I mean, that one, it just stuck with me for so long because I think like I realized it could have easily sort of like been just a love story about like a couple that has a baby, but then it like takes this totally insane turn, and there's elements to it that are like crazy, but for the most part it is something like the themes throughout it are things that could happen to anyone. So like that to me was the most terrifying thing I could imagine, was like, oh, you could actually think that you're with a good person, or just think that you're safe, or that you can trust people around you, and they can like just totally mind fuck you and manipulate you into having Satan's baby, you know? That could happen. So like, I was like, oh my God, it's crazy, because they just took something so normal and like made it terrifying. And we were talking about in another interview about the movie The Birds, and about how like just taking like crows on a wire and like turning it into the scariest thing ever. Those are kind of the films that like affected me the most as a kid.
Gotcha.
Solid.
So more ones that feel normal, or could be normal plots that have that like little subversion to them,
and then
slightly start to tilt.
Amelia, what about you?
I mean, I grew up watching a lot of horror movies, a lot of kind of Hammer horror British films from like the 70s and stuff like that. So I was definitely exposed to a lot of that world pretty young. But I remember my dad had a book on The Exorcist, and I would like kind of look through it before I'd even seen the movie, like when I was pretty young. And there was that one still, which is like a flash, I guess, of the devil's face. Yeah. It's like all white and it's like all black around it. And I remember like I would just kind of look at that page and be like, okay, it's too scary. But I was always like really fascinated to go back.
Yeah.
And there was another book too on, I think just on like hauntings or like weird events that, you know, real life events. And I can't remember the name of the case, but it's like a haunting in England in the 70s. I think the second Conjuring movie is inspired by it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of it either.
And there's an image, this photograph of this like 12-year-old girl like floating above her bed, and she's wearing like a red dress. Yep. And again, it was like I would kind of go look at it and then be too scared. And but like I was obviously always going back because it was just kind of these fascinating, weird images that you're just like, what is this from, or whatever, you know, that kind of piques your interest. And then I watched lots of horror movies. I watched The Shining way too young as well, and also didn't get through it. I got to the part where he goes into room 237 and then he's kissing the woman and her body's falling apart. And then I was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. And then years later, I finished it. But so just kind of, too much too young, I guess.
Yeah.
just enough. Just enough.
I was about to say just enough to plant those seeds. And now look at you.
But that's great. It's really cool to see where people started, because I always feel like it kind of informs what they create, at least to a certain extent. Like the things that you enjoy are going to affect what you create. So it's always great to kind of get that insight. And then specifically, the last question that I have, I'm curious. So you two have both had a working relationship in your previous film as well, right? Bleed With Me. What advantages does it lend to be able to work with someone multiple times? And I mean, it seems like you guys are pretty close to have that, to have a relationship where you're, director, actress, and you're able to, have that, that prior experience together.
I don't know how to answer that.
I mean, I think like me and Amelia coming into each other's lives was kind of just like a really happy accident. We met working on a short film of a mutual friend, and we were both on the crew of that one. And then, maybe a couple weeks later, a month later, Amelia came to me and said that she was shooting a teaser for a film that she was trying to get funding for. And so I helped her out on that, and I acted in it. And that's also when I met Lee Marshall, who plays Rowan in Bleed With Me. And like that, we had so much fun. And then I was living in Montreal at the time, and I ended up moving back to Toronto. And then a couple years went by, and Amelia reached out to me again and was like, hey, remember that teaser we shot? Well, like I finally got the funding to make the feature film, and would you want to come on board and reprise your role? And
but this time with money and a real real camera.
And so I was just like over the moon, so excited, because I remember being so into like the premise, even when we were shooting the little teaser. I had so much fun, and then to like not even, I think it was exactly a year to the day that we started shooting Bloodthirsty. That was nice. As when we were shooting Bleed With Me. And I think just like when Amelia even first like asked me to audition, I just like so badly hoped that I would get to work with her again, because I just had like such an amazing experience on Bleed With Me. And Amelia was like so gracious too. Like I was in a bad accident a couple months before we shot that film, and I essentially like couldn't walk. And I was using crutches, and I had like an air cast. And I remember like calling Amelia after it happened and being like, she's going to tell me that I can't do it. She's going to be like, I'm sorry, like we're going to have to find someone else. That really,
it was definitely a couple months where I think you weren't sure if you could do it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I really hope Lauren gets better.
Like, it ended up not being like, there was like, it was no question for Amelia. Like when I called her, she was like, well, let's like figure out how we can make this work. And I just remember like almost instantly sobbing because I thought, this terrible thing was going to like take this opportunity away. And Amelia was just like, well, let's just problem solve. Let's just figure out how we can do it.
Yeah.
It ended up being me who was the one that's like, I don't know if we can do this. Because it wasn't like, I just wasn't getting better as quickly as I had hoped. I wasn't progressing as much as I wanted to be, but ultimately we made it work, and we worked around it. We had to write a couple things into the script, but yeah, we made it happen. And like working on that with Amelia it was so rewarding. And I think it was my first indie feature. And really my first time like working on a film for that long, where you really get to develop like a relationship with the director. And so to have it be with Amelia was like super awesome and extremely lucky, because it's just Amelia's like so collaborative, and she has her.
Sorry, I'm laughing because I was like, I don't have an answer. And Lauren's now being like, saying all these beautiful things.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll say it afterwards.
No pressure. You can just say like, just say I'm shit. No, but like, yeah, she's very collaborative, and like she's got like such a clear vision of what she wants, but her ego isn't so big that she won't like also just like work with you on what instincts are coming up for you, and give you like, she's confident enough to give you that space to also figure it out for yourself, like what you think would be happening for you in any given moment, or maybe playing around with the scene a little differently than what she envisioned, or whatever it is. Like, you don't feel like a puzzle piece working with Amelia. You feel like an artist, which is like such a I feel very grateful for that, because I know on a lot of bigger sets you probably wouldn't get the opportunity to feel that way all the time. So just doing Blood with Me, I've combined the two that we made Amelia. Then working on Bloodthirsty was just like, there was no question in my mind that I wanted to work with her again. And I think there was just that added level of like being comfortable working with each other, and kind of like knowing how one another works. And so yeah, I was just very lucky.
Yeah.
That's
great. What a great answer.
Yeah.
Very long-winded. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
No, it's perfect. Yeah.
Well,
All right,
it was
Amelia,
funny.
now say something
Amelia,
nice.
go
Yeah.
ahead. Tell
My
you want about me.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like on Bleed With Me, because that film is really told from the main character's perspective, who's played by Lee Marshall. And so I was really kind of focused on, and I'd worked with Lee before actually on a short film. So I was really kind of connected more with her as a director than with Lauren's character, because Lauren's character is a bit more of an enigma in that film. And I wanted some distance because the character kind of has some distance in terms of the way she views her. But I guess like it was, in both these films, you had to kind of like do a lot of stuff. Like, okay, eat this fake dead rabbit, or like be covered in blood, or like shower in blood, or like all these things. And a lot of actors would be very, particular about that. But Lauren just fucking goes for it, and she doesn't hold back. So definitely when I was thinking about Bloodthirsty and knowing what was needed for the role and for things like the transformation scene and stuff, it's like, we weren't going to be cutting to CGI. Like it's, it's all her performance. So that kind of commitment was, I think, really valuable for this film. And it was cool too, because we were able to kind of be a bit more connected on this film, since you're the lead in this one and it's very much like your story and stuff. So, despite not having a ton of prep time, it was nice to just also, I didn't know any of the crew going in. I had only met the producers like 2 months, so kind of like have someone who was really nice.
Yeah.
And just to kind of, to feel like, okay, well, no matter what, Lauren's here. So like, I feel confident about stuff. So that kind of just made the process like nice in a lot of ways too. And it was definitely like, we hadn't worked together before until Bleed With Me. And then I remember when we were editing that film, like Lauren just gives a lot of range, and we had so much to work with in terms of just like the tiniest little expressions and stuff. And it was really fun because that character, again, is supposed to be kind of this enigma that we don't really quite know what her deal is. So to be able to play around with just like a little kind of look or like a little kind of, you know, expression or something. And I was just really like blown away by that and kind of her range. And so then I felt really confident going into this film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
I
Yeah.
know. I definitely
don't
think.
stop, keep going.
Talk about.
No, I definitely think that all shows. I didn't even think about that perspective of coming in as a director. And I mean, you mentioned you didn't know the cast. You didn't, know at least the other actors that were in it. You'd only know the producers for 2 months. So that's quite an undertaking to, kind of be on the set and be like, hey, this is my shit. And, I'm doing,
Yeah.
I'm leading the charge here, with a bunch of people I don't know. So that puts things into a different perspective.
Yeah.
I brought Catherine King-So on board as well because
Okay.
we went to film school together.
Gotcha.
But we'd never worked, I'd never worked with her as an actor before. I had like shot a music video that she was in, but never as a director actor.
Yeah.
And I was just really happy that she like got along with Lauren and stuff because that was such an important relationship in the film. And so it all kind of worked out in that way. But yeah, having the two of them kind of like, Montreal, Toronto family.
Yeah.
Was
exactly.
nice to bring to Alberta with me.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, it definitely shows. Like we've said, I mean, we both really enjoyed the film, got to watch it a couple days before it came out, so it was pretty fantastic to be able to dive into it. And lastly, what are you guys working on now? I mean, what's obviously with COVID, things are probably pretty wild, but what's in the future for both of you?
If you can talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, not a whole lot. Definitely doing these two projects back to back has been kind of like a bit of processing time, and then with the pandemic and stuff as well. I'm working on a script with a scriptwriter in Toronto and with Lee Marshall, who was acted and was also one of the producers on Bleed with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're kind of working on that together, but it's still kind of early stages.
Gotcha.
But yeah, not a whole lot.
Yeah, just taking a breath for now.
Yeah.
Processing everything.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, for me, I have actually weirdly a lot of random things on the go. I don't really know how these all manifested around the same time, but I'm not complaining. So I am currently producing a short film that I also co-wrote and I'm acting in about the like value in platonic intimacy in the queer community. So we're going to launch an Indiegogo campaign for that in mid-May and shooting that mid-July. So that will be my summer project. And
Nice.
Actually, I just found out, I don't even think I've told Amelia this.
Oh, shit.
I just found out and I can't actually really talk about it. So wait, maybe I shouldn't have brought it up.
You found out something good.
I'm gonna text you later after this.
It's, all I'll say is that it's David Bond's next film. So one of the producers on Bloodthirsty is producing another horror feature that has German financing and is written by a German writer-director. And it's going to be shooting at the end of August. And it's a feature. The script is bomb. So good.
Hell yeah.
So I just found out that I got a lead part in that. So that's shooting at the end of August. So I'm very excited. And then me and my roommate, we started I guess we're calling it like a comedy media empire.
Love it.
We started a comedy production company, and our website is humblecore.ca. So we've been doing kind of like sketch comedy, focusing on kind of like character work and a lot of parody, mockumentary stuff. And we're also hoping to film a web series this summer. And we also have a feature mockumentary in the works that we're trying to get funding for.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
So a lot of
Busy.
random stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot on your plate.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear. Congratulations.
Yeah.
As we're the first to know this. Love to hear it. And definitely when your Indiegogo pops up for your short, we will do our best to share. Of course.
Yeah.
Well, Amelia, Lauren, thank you guys for joining us. Again, if you guys, whoever's listening hasn't seen Bloodthirsty, check it out. It's on video on demand right now. Are there any plans for streaming services or anything like that that's in the works? I know it's probably tough to talk about that if there are.
Maybe within Canada, but I don't think the US.
Damn it.
US will stay on
Screw the
VOD.
US. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
I don't make these decisions.
Yeah, no, of course. Of course. Well, thank you guys again for joining us, and we're excited to see whatever you do next.
We appreciate you both so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, thanks for having us.
For having us.
All right. Of
Been
course.
fun.
See ya.
Take care.
All right. Thank you guys for listening to our interview with Lauren and Amelia from the movie Bloodthirsty, which is out now. We are now here with another game. We haven't played this game since episode 7. So if you're listening to these episodes in a row, the 4 people that are, thank you so much. Once you get caught up to this episode and you hear it, we are going to play another Would You Rather. This time we're joined by our friend Megan Sinclair, aka at Cine Claire or Cine_Claire. Not gonna fuck that up on TikTok. And yeah, really happy that you're with us today. We were just chatting a bit about cats and It Follows and all that sort of stuff. So we're glad that
you guys seem like seems like my kind of people.
Yeah.
Horror
Exactly.
movies and cats. I feel very at home right now.
So
Welcome.
Before we get into the game, I want to ask what kind of horror movies are you into? Like what kind of stuff are you watching?
Oh, I love this question. It's funny because It Follows, like your episode, is actually one of my favorite horror movies. That's one that I'll drop a lot of the times when people just want to know my overall favorite movies. Even though it's more of like I feel like it's more of a thriller, but I love them because it is so fucking end and you're like, shit, and it like hits you in the gut. And then my other favorite one is Scream. I fucking love the Scream movies. Like they are my all time. I can watch them back to back. I can watch them all day, no problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
Classics for sure.
I'm a little all over the place, I guess.
Oh, that's fair. I feel like most horror fans are, we might have our subgenres that we don't love.
Yeah.
But
Scream is so good. It Follows was filmed like right by where Sean lives now. And
he was telling me, I'm so jealous. I want to go to that movie theater.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally like a couple miles away.
It's funny too, because Scream 4 was filmed like a half an hour away. Michigan had some.
You're like in a sweet spot. I went to school. Right? I went to school in Menneson, Pennsylvania for special effects at the Tom Savini School. And it's like 45 minutes from where Silent Hill was filmed, and the town is still like shut down. And then the funny thing is, in Menneson, they have a curfew at night. So they would have the alarm like just in Silent Hill, and the alarm would go off at 9 o'clock. And when I moved there, I was like, what's happening? Like I freaked the fuck out. It was so scary.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I am so jealous of that. I fucking love Silent Hill with my whole heart.
That is a great movie.
Yeah, holy shit. I'm probably going to have to re-up on it tonight just because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into the Would You Rather, I want to ask you guys a question. I told you guys I was going to ask you this question, but I didn't tell you guys what the question was. So we just had the interview with Amelia and Lauren from Bloodthirsty, which is a movie about a singer, an artist who is making her second album and kind of struggling, and that's kind of like the thesis of it. There's more, but I don't want to spoil it. But so along those same lines, I have a question for both of you, because you both have I would say significant TikTok followings. I for one, I'm not really, I'm on TikTok scrolling all day because my work is boring as shit, but I don't like post anything. So I want to ask you guys, you obviously have made a niche for yourselves and you both have specific things that you do. But my question is, do you ever feel, I know Sean does, but can you guys talk about the feeling of like feeling like you need to keep making more content for people? Like, do you ever have that feeling where you're just like, you're either stressed about making more content or like, you're like, I don't know what the hell to post, but I feel like I need to post. Like, can you guys just talk about that a little bit? Because I think Bloodthirsty is kind of it. She talks about the expectations of being an artist and what people want from you and that sort of stuff. And I think that what you guys have is not super far related from that. So I just kind of wanted insight and just, wanted to know what your thoughts were on that.
Megan, you go first.
Okay. It's actually really funny because I've never been big into social media. Like I haven't had a Facebook for like over a year. I never got into Twitter. I barely Snapchat. I only use it with my close friends. Yeah. Okay. So my friends were like begging me. They're like, please just make a TikTok so you can tell your stupid fucking stories. And I was like, okay, I'll do it, because they wanted to share it with their friends.
Gotcha.
And then one of them just blew the fuck up, and I was like, oh my God, people think I'm fucking funny after being bullied for like my entire young life. People are like, shit, you're funny. And I'm like, I'm just mentally unstable, but thank you. So I do feel like that a lot of the time. And I try to do it where I'll do a video a day. And it got to a point where, like, because I talk about my butthole a little too often on TikTok, I was getting in trouble. So a lot of my videos were getting taken down. So they were like restricting my views. And when that happened, I had like a moment where I was like, oh my God, like people aren't going to know I'm funny and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, bitch, people didn't know you were funny until like 2 weeks ago. Calm the fuck down. So I've definitely come to terms of like, I don't need to feel pressured to make content. It's basically like, I'll say something funny at work, and I work with a lot of my best friends, and they'll be like, that's funny, you should put it in a TikTok. And I'm like, all right. So they help me make my content a lot of the time. I have some really awesome friends that are like, yeah, that was funny. And I was like, okay, cool. Because I just say shit, so I don't know what's funny anymore. They're like, yeah, do it. I'm like, okay.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, I feel like that all 100% checks out. For me, it's less about feeling like I need to put out content for people, not to whatever the people that follow me. I really appreciate everybody, but honestly,
Fuck all of you.
I'm a
Sean
slave.
Does not care about you.
I'm not a slave to them. I'm a slave to the algorithm. I know that like TikTok needs you to upload a video a day, or there's not really any point. You know what I mean? Like it rewards people that post daily. So that's where, like earlier today, like I'll spend, when you're trying to think of a video, it's like impossible. And exactly like what Megan said, you kind of just have to like store all of the funny things that happen or the funny thoughts that you have. And kind of do it that way. So, but I think in a weird way, as stressful as that is, there is a certain, it's almost like it forces you to be creative daily. Like no matter what, it doesn't matter how shitty I feel, I post a TikTok every single day. And I've never been consistent like that. You know what I mean? So Megan, I'm curious, do you store videos up? Like, do you like record a bunch in a day for off days and stuff?
No, actually, I'll do that like once in a blue moon. Like if I'm feeling real funny, or if, like I just happen to be drinking, I'm like, you know what? Let's just fucking knock some out.
Yep.
But generally I just do one a day.
Same.
The only thing is, like at the beginning, I was very nervous about making videos. So like in all my like earlier videos, I'm like drinking a cup of wine, but then like you'll see throughout the video, the wine going like up and down, because I'm just like taking different takes of it. I'm like, gosh, shit. And I would get so destroyed in my first like early days of TikTok. But I will say, I think TikTok, and it sounds like stupid and cheesy, but it's like made me realize like I'm funny, and like people do sometimes want to listen to what I have to say, and I'm not just like the weird kid anymore. So that's definitely weird for me. But yeah, it's a weird thing. I'm not used to it, I guess.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's strange.
It definitely went from, I think that because there's so many, and we're talking about fucking TikTok now. I guess it's the most thing, mostly horror, but if you don't care about what we're saying, just pause the fucking podcast for a second.
Yeah, sorry guys.
I think TikTok is so crazy, because I used to be like, who gives a shit? I used to direct high school theater. Well, yeah, exactly. So I used to direct high school theater. So all the kids that I was directing would be on TikTok, and I'm like, that's fucking lame. Like, I don't like any of that. But now it's like, I'm on TikTok, and like, there's people that are in their mid to late 20s like I am, and are making funny shit, or I'm learning stuff about how we don't know how eels reproduce. And it's like, this is pretty cool. Like I actually enjoy being on here. So yeah, it's kind of crazy the value that I've seen in it. And also Sean being on TikTok has made me want to be on.
My mom had to convince me to get on TikTok. My mom is on TikTok. No joke. I'm not joking. My mom was like, you would do so well on there. I'm like, what are you talking about? And Yeah, thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom.
Oh my God. My mom like stopped talking to me for like a couple of weeks because I said something about the family on TikTok.
Oh,
and she was
really?
like, how fucking dare you? And I was like, oh no, I went too far.
Yikes.
I went too hard on the joke.
Yeah.
That's funny. All
I
right.
have a quick question actually.
Yeah.
I was talking about this, about how like my TikTok appeals to a very different type of group than what my For You page is. Like my For You page is like Marvel and then like plus size women trying on bathing suits. So I'm curious to see if like your For You page differs so much from what you make, Sean.
So well,
That's
first,
a great question.
It is a good question. So first off, I have like a handful of different types of videos that I make, I guess.
Okay.
But because my videos
I made a
are pretty
spreadsheet of them once. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, but I just sort of the challenge of having to make something every day. Like I started off making TikToks that were just art. And then when I realized I can't get myself to draw and make a video in a creative way showing off that drawing every day, like I don't have that in me. I realized, oh, well, I just got to start bitching about stuff. And then that worked. And so I kind of have like, I have like political content and art content and me ranting about shit content. And then so I definitely don't,
You and Bruce dancing in the kitchen content.
Yeah, literally.
That's how I found you.
There's so many different things that it's like I'm going against what you should do on TikTok, and I'm not like completely whatevering to one niche. But and so with that being said, my For You page is actually just complete chaos. There's no, it's wild. It doesn't know what to give me because I am putting out so many different kinds of things, and B, I'm interacting with a ton of different shit. Like I don't just interact with one type of content. So my For You page is kind of chaos, and honestly shit, if I'm being honest. Like half of the stuff I see, I'm just like scrolling mindlessly looking for ideas. Yeah. But yeah, I don't, it's funny because as much as I'm on TikTok and using TikTok to whatever, I honestly, like I'll spend hours on Instagram or on Twitter scrolling through other people's content, but on TikTok, I kind of just use it to get my own out there. And then I consume, there's a handful of people that I go and look for their stuff, like friends that I'm making on there, but I don't mindlessly scroll TikTok the way I do other apps. It's definitely more of a me producing content thing. So.
Gotcha. What's like your go-to app?
What's my go-to app?
Yeah.
If I just open, I mean, honestly, because I feel like because I'm so whatevering about videos that I've made that day, like I open TikTok the most, but I'm in my own notifications, which is like which is so terrible. But it's just because I want to see how people respond to shit and interact. Yeah, like I'm constantly just like watering that plant. But if it's other than that, it's Instagram. I used to love Instagram. Yeah, but now it just pisses me off. Like they're just changing so many things, and I don't know. Instagram, I'm not as in love with it anymore, but I don't want to let go.
I feel you.
That's fair. It's all about Twitter. That's just where I'm at. All right. So
are you 60 years old?
On Twitter?
Twitter makes me laugh the most, I think.
Twitter makes me laugh the most.
God, I never got into it.
You got to follow some different people.
Yeah. Twitter's my favorite thing in the world normally. Instagram's great too, but Twitter's where it's at. Honestly, TikTok, to be honest, I'm on it like 2.5 hours a day at work, dude, because nothing's happening.
That makes sense.
It's fucked. My screen time's bad. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed that bullshit nonsense.
So sorry, everyone.
All right, so we have a fun Would You Rather. So we were trying to figure out what we wanted to do for the game this week. Normally we would do a top 5. There wasn't really anything screaming at us for Bloodthirsty. So we figured we'd do another Would You Rather because we got some fun ones. So we all have our own questions. We will answer them and then post our responses, I think, on the Wednesday after this episode comes out. So, Sean, do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I love it when you go first. I don't know why. I like you being the tone setter. But if you want me to go first, because I never do, that's okay.
I'll go first. It's fine.
Okay.
I just want you to know I'm not picking last in the next top 5 that we do. Because I got so royally fucked over in the one that we did that I'm like very upset. I'm still salty. Anyway, all right. So my Would You Rather, I'd like to say I stole this Would You Rather off the internet. because I found it and it's very fitting for the episode that we're doing.
Copyright infringement.
I don't have the website that it was from, so I'm sorry to whoever I stole this from. But my question is, would you rather wake up each morning to find that a random animal appendage has replaced your non-dominant arm, or permanently replace your bottom half with an animal bottom half of your choice? So every day it's a new animal arm replacing your non-dominant arm, or you choose an animal bottom to have for the rest of your days. Non-human, not counting human as an animal. And then whoever wants to take this first.
God,
I know my answer already, but
yeah, it's tough. Okay, it's tough.
take a second, Mary. Yeah.
It's tough because.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so say if I go with like the arm thing, or I guess on both, match up. Or if I pick like a cat arm, is it going to be like itty bitty and just hanging off my torso?
So it would probably be your size.
Okay.
So like it would
changes
be,
everything.
Yeah, it would be like the length of your arm, but it's like fuzzy and has toe beans, like that sort of thing.
Okay. Because I was imagining
That's
just
the
like
scientific
a little piggy arm or something sticking out, and I
What
really
I thought.
yeah,
like
I
in
didn't
middle
like
school
that
when you
at
used
all.
to do this.
Straight up,
Yeah.
just one guy, or like a fin, because that counts, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like,
Random
yeah.
animal.
So yeah, Megan, you go first. You answer first.
Okay, I think I have mine. So mine's
Okay.
kind of specific. I would go with my cat's arm specifically because my cat Mystic is polydactyl, so she has a little thumb.
Mm-hmm.
So I would still have a thumb on that arm, and I would just have some mad ass claws. And I just can't go with the bottom half because, like, I just don't see that going well in the bedroom. You know what I mean? Like, I think like people can see past like an animal arm, but like an animal bottom half, they're like, that's too much. I can't handle that.
That's
yeah,
true.
I think I'm
Yeah.
gonna lock it in with that. My cat's arm specifically.
Yeah. So you do get to pick the animal arm?
No, you
Oh.
don't.
No?
That's
Oh my God.
That's what I was gonna say. So it's each morning.
no.
It's a random animal appendage, but each morning. So like you wake up one day, it's a lizard. You wake up another day, it's a cat. You wake up, like random every
Yeah.
day.
Okay, I still stick
Yeah.
with that. I'm still good with that. I kind of
Yeah.
like the surprise.
Because you need the bottoms. I get it.
Yeah, you need the
Yeah,
bottom.
You need the
it.
bottoms. Here's the thing. Okay. Because I think here's the thing. I think you're right. I think yours is the right answer. But in my brain, I've kind of I kind of really, really love the idea of just being like a fucking satyr, and I would just go live in the woods. Like, give me
That sounds amazing.
right. Give me a goat bottom. Give me goat legs and goat whatever. A goat dick if I
Tumnus
gotta
the
have it.
shit out of it.
Dude, tumness the shit out. I'm talking Pan's Labyrinth, Doug Jones. And I'll just go, dude, if I have goat bottoms, I'm not paying taxes. I don't care what anyone says. I'm going to go live. I'm not paying. What, you're going to make me pay taxes? Fuck you.
Sure.
I'm going to go
But on
live
the
in the woods.
animal bottoms, are you able to pick what your animal bottom is?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So does that change your answer?
Oh.
Because I'm going to pick. I was like, dude, I want to be a fucking centaur, but then I was like, that's douchey.
That's
Centaurs
what I
are douchebags.
The legs, the
No,
hands.
these centaurs
You
are
still have to like go to the
They're
fair
badass.
and like get your fucking hooves trimmed and shit. That's a lot of
Yeah.
money.
See, yeah, that's a lot of upkeep, Steve. But
I don't do
okay.
upkeep now. Why would I do it when I'm a centaur?
It's fine. You would be more of a centaur than me. I think I'd be a satyr. I'd be a faun. I'd be on some Pan's Labyrinth
Okay.
shit. I'd keep fairies in a little fucking whatever and play a flute in the woods. And I'm not
Yeah.
paying taxes. And that's
You would be Danny DeVito in Hercules. You know that,
run
right?
it,
Yes.
dude.
I mean, that's pretty
So-
fucking dope. Danny
If
DeVito's
you-
the man.
If you want to be a hero kid, let's run it.
That's
I'm
great.
ready.
That's great.
Okay.
all
Jesus
right,
Christ.
So I
That was a good
gotta.
question. I'm gonna ask my girls at work that one tomorrow.
Perfect.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Write these
Yeah.
down.
I saw that when I was searching, and I was like, "That's too good to not say in the
Yeah,
in the
that's a
episode.
good one.
If if I have goat bottoms, I'm not paying taxes is probably going to be the first shirt design that I make with a quote on it. So I already have some shirt designs teed up, but that's that's an amazing quote, and I
love it.
All right, cool.
That one I would appreciate. That's fucking hilarious.
Oh, I love it. All right, cool. Which one of you guys wants to go next? Megan, do you want to do Would You Rather, or Sean, would you?
Well, Sean, you go first.
Me? Okay. All right.
Megan will end it off.
All right.
Yeah, you go.
Okay.
I'll end it.
So I have to figure out how to word it, but
okay.
would you rather? So this is kind of like Steve's a little bit, but it's different. It is different. All right. So would you rather turn into a random animal once a month for a night? So we're talking like 6 or 8 hours a night, and you have no control over what you do in your animal phase. You never know what animal it's going to be. It happens once a month. And I'm talking full painful transformations, like an American Werewolf in London. You feel everything. Like if you're going to turn into a rhino, you're going to feel that transformation. But with that, you'll never die, and you're stinking fucking rich. Or would you rather find out right now that your body is full of these weird worm parasites, and the only way to get rid of them is to take this medicine that will force them to flee from your body through like any orifice they can find? Some of them might even chew through your skin. You will not die. They will not kill you. They will not cause any long-lasting damage to your organs, but you're going to take the medicine. It's going to take like a week. So over this week time, they're going to force their way out of your body, and you get $20,000.
So really quick. First, how the fuck do I type that out for a graphic?
I'll think of it. I'll think about it.
So my thing is, I'll go first.
Okay.
It's so easily the first one. I think maybe if you switched it and you made the worm parasite things with the $1 million and the whatever the other one was, then it might be a little bit tougher. But I think you said once a month from like sundown to sunup, basically like normal.
Yeah, once a month. Yeah, right? Yeah. Painful transformation though, and you can't die. You have to. That's your life forever. I just want to stress that. I don't want to
die.
Well, I know.
So that's fine. You told me I can't die, which is the first plus. You told me that I'm filthy rich, which is the second plus, and you told me that I can turn into an animal, which, while painful, is kind of a third plus.
You have no control over you in your animal state. It's not like you get to turn into a cat and go have fun. No, you're in it. But like, if you turn into like a fucking werewolf type thing, then you're gonna go eat people.
Yeah, but if I turn into a frog, I'm just gonna hippity hop around. Like,
ew.
I feel like it's gonna hurt, but that's fair. Okay, continue answering.
That's my thing. I fuck a parasite, man. That's no thanks. No thank yous.
My first question with this, Sean, your therapist must make so much money off of you.
I don't have a therapist, but I should get one.
That was fucked up. Oh my God, man! I thought I was weird. I'm loving this. Okay, I have to do the same thing. I'm gonna go with the animal because I love werewolf movies, first of all, so I have like a sympathy for that. And the thought, I think it's because I watched a lot of National Geographic and Animal Planet. So the idea of bot flies hit me at a very young age. So the idea of anything crawling out of me, like, I can't do it. It is not worth $20,000. It is not worth a week. I could not do that. I do because I would hope close enough where I'd be like, yo, I'm going to turn into an animal. You got to keep me contained. Because I feel like if I had that money, I would buy myself like a zoo almost. And then each time I'm about to transform, just put myself into a different enclosure, something like that.
Yep. That's fair.
That's smart.
So I was about to say, so I will stress this because you never know what it's going to be. And I was going to say, like, if I were to choose that option myself, I was going to like get myself a place to do it and whatever, with maybe like a bunch of different stuff in it. If I turn into a fish, because that's the thing is you can't die. So like if you turn into a fish, you're just going to be there struggling in pain, trying to breathe for 8 hours. You know, if it happens but you won't die. You're just going to be like, trying to breathe.
You just
for
need to
8
walk
hours.
into a waiting pool like every
Yeah.
single time that you are about to
I
transform.
already got asthma, baby. I'm good to go. I know what it's like.
But damn, okay. So I truly thought that the forced to forever, the painful transformations might have like added weight to that, but because I choose the same thing, so I guess it was easy, and I'm
So
pissed.
here, really quick, as like
Yeah.
as like a quick fire round. If it's switched, so you transform once a month, nothing added to that. You painfully transform once a month, with all those stipulations, but you don't get anything else. Just the transformations. Life just sucks in that way.
You don't get
Or-
anything else. You don't even get
you
the
don't-
20,000,
No.
but you get to live forever.
Yeah.
Because of okay, all right, or
you have parasites, but you're filthy rich,
but it's
and
only
also- and it's only once, and also immortal
Yeah.
if you want to be, I guess.
oh well then fucking yeah,
What?
then obviously parasites.
See, that
That's
makes
an
it.
easy switch.
It's the money thing that I think makes
Yeah.
it so much
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah.
My question is though, as a woman, I'm gonna throw a wild card. When I transform into an animal, can I just happen to have my period the same time and just get it both
Get it all
over
out
at
of the way.
same time?
Yeah,
You know
two
what I mean?
birds.
Just like out the window. Two birds, one stone.
Wait, you said
sure.
how long's the transformation for?
The transformation's only 8 hours, but you could at least get like, get it started then.
Yeah.
The first
you
day
know.
out of the
I
way.
feel like it's only fair if I have to go through that, like just 1 day period, because then I would definitely still go with that trade.
That's
I'd be
fine.
like,
I'll
fuck
give
yeah,
it to
let's
you.
fucking do it. Yeah.
I'll give it to you.
These stipulations are
Yeah.
they're working out for
I'm
everyone.
sticking with that one. I'm going with the first one still. I just cannot get past the worms and the bugs. It like I can pick up a worm and put him in the grass if he's stuck on the sidewalk. Like I can deal with maggots and all that shit. But it's the thought of it being inside of me that I
Yeah.
don't like.
So
That freaks me out.
So Megan, you wouldn't even choose parasites, even if it meant filthy, stinking rich and whatever.
Yeah, because I wouldn't even know what to do with the money.
Oh, dude. I'm
You'd be
$300,000
Like I'm one of
in
those
student
where I
loan debt.
panic at the idea of money. I'm like, oh God, no.
Oh no.
Like I couldn't do it.
I could spend all the money in the world so fast.
Yeah.
So fast. I could just get rid of it. I just give it away. It'd be
Yeah,
good.
so
Okay,
many
fair enough.
charities lined up.
Yeah. Pay off all of between me and my family and my friends' debts. That's a huge chunk of it right there.
Yeah,
We're
it's
good.
good to go.
Yep. But okay.
Well,
All right.
That was an easy one.
Whatever, dude. That's fine. All right.
Oh, that was good.
Megan,
It
your
showed
turn.
a true insight
Okay.
into your mind.
So I'm torn between these two. And
Okay.
it's really funny that I'm on the Would You Rather episode because at work, every single day I ask my girls like a Would You Rather question or like a scenario that they have to like figure out and what they would do. So I really love that I'm on this. But I think I'm going to go with a horror related one.
Mhm.
I know we were kind of going with animals, but I feel like this is a really fun one to answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the backup if we have time. And you're like, this first question's a piece of shit, Megan.
No.
Second round. So would you rather have Jason Voorhees as a roommate or Michael Myers as a roommate?
Are we friends? Are we like pals, or do I have to
No,
worry about one of them
but
killing me?
You're not enemies. It's kind of like the worst case scenario of like a roommate where like you guys don't get along, you don't talk or anything like that. Like they'll never kill you, but like you have to deal with like the awkwardness of them. Like Jason just comes out and like stares at you in the hallway, and Michael's like always behind a fucking doorway. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like those little things, and they're like, "Fuck, man, cut it out," you know?
I think personally, I would have to choose Michael. I think I'd have to choose Michael because I think Jason is just a lot more aggressive. Michael's kind of
Okay.
like, you know what I mean? Michael's kind of
Yeah.
like just chill, pissed off. Like I feel like, I'd find him like I'd open the door to the fucking bathroom and he'd be standing there. I'm like, Jesus fuck, dude. Like, can you move? But then,
Yeah.
but Jason, I would come into the living room and he will have like slashed a bunch of shit and stuff would be on fire and there'd be like a camper hanging in a fucking bag and he's just like,
there's always dirt in the hallway.
Yeah. Like, why are you always dirty, dude? You're bringing leaves in the house, you know?
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, Michael's kind of a creep, so I don't want like all of the I don't know. I'm gonna go with Michael. I've known him longer. You know, it's
Okay.
It's true.
I've known him longer. We're closer.
Yeah,
you know?
I let him do his own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But just to add to it, though, just like a little wild card, you are aware of any time they kill someone.
Do they tell me? Do I have to hear about it like a long day at work?
They don't tell you, but they come home and they just sort of like stare at you covered and like whatever the fuck they did. And like, you're very aware of what they're going out and doing. Kind of like a mom with like a serial killer son that doesn't want to admit that her little boy would ever do that. Like that type of shit.
Yeah. I'm still going to go with Michael because I think Jason's got a bigger body count. I think Michael's
okay.
Yeah.
That's my reason. Cause like Michael has his MO, like he has what he's trying to do. Whereas Jason's just like kind of upset.
Yeah.
So he's just like killing people. Just
Jason.
The only reason that I would want Jason is because I think Jason's a little bit more cultured. Like Jason's been to space. So I feel like that. I feel like if you did want to talk to someone, Jason probably is going to have a longer conversation.
Yeah.
That was my joke.
Okay.
I wanted to tell.
That's fair. Well, also Jason's got the overbearing mother, and like I don't want her popping through even in his head, you know.
True.
And
that's true though.
Right.
But I have my answer if you guys are ready for it.
Yes,
I would like to.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with Jason because in the Friday the 13th video game, if you find Jason's mother's sweater and you wear the sweater, you can control Jason.
Oh, so you just need to go to the value store down the street and find a nice sweater, and then you're good to go.
Because Jason's just looking for a motherly figure, and I'm maternal as fuck.
Right.
So I feel like I'd be better with Jason because he doesn't hate his mom; he loves his mom.
Right.
And there's a sense of Michael Myers where he seems to have an issue with women.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to go Jason.
That makes sense.
That
definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
That's my I'm going to lock it in.
Yeah. Well, do you not to explore? I just feel like it's okay. Do you think that Jason would like be killing off anyone that we're bringing home? Like, do you think he'd sense? Because I think he gets pissed off at sex. Michael's just kind of like, you were there. But Jason's like, you're fucking right now? I don't like that. And
I don't know. I feel like Michael still kills teenagers that are having sex, though.
That's true. It just seems like Jason's doing. I feel like wouldn't be able to bring anyone home.
Yeah,
I think neither. I think it's safe to say that neither of them is safe for you to bring someone.
They're both very sexually frustrated and probably incompetent, and that's why they are killers.
Yeah, that's fair.
Criminal Minds has taught me anything. It's that.
Hey, God, I love that show.
Speaking to Sean's soul.
I'm curious.
That's good.
Steve, how are we doing on time? Are we good on time?
Sure.
Okay, I'm curious because you did say you brought two, and now I have to know what the other one is.
So the second one is werewolf related, and I do have a follow-up question I ask you guys. I don't even care if it doesn't make it in. I just need to know. But would you rather so you're walking down a dark alley? Would you rather come face to face with the werewolf from American Werewolf in London?
Okay.
Or one of the vampires / like zombie things from 30 Days a Night?
Dude.
American Werewolf in London.
American Werewolf in London. You'd
rather come face to face with that one? Shit. Okay.
Dude, he's
Sean
quick,
and I are
man.
on the same wavelength.
Dude, he's quick. He'll fucking, when he kills you, like it's going to suck. You know, if he's going to get me, he's going to suck, but he's probably going to rip my throat out pretty quickly. Those death scenes are pretty quick. The 30 Day a Night bastards, those guys play with their food, man.
True.
Remember when
you
they
make a very good point.
Scary.
Yeah, they're spooky
They are
boys.
scary.
Yeah,
Spooky
Not
boys.
that
100%.
not that what's his face isn't from
Yeah,
David Naughton, but like
yeah,
just 30 Days a Night, those boys are too spooky.
right.
No
I
way.
think I'm gonna go against the grain and go with 30 Days a Night.
Okay.
I don't know why. I think maybe it's a weird vampire kink,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna go with that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna go with that because I think my feelings would be hurt if I was killed by an animal. I'd be like, I did animal rescue. Why am I dying this way? I would be so butthurt about it.
I don't
true.
know. They just I kind of want to watch that now too. Didn't we say something else earlier that I wanted to watch? Fucking I might have to watch 2 movies tonight because of this.
30 Days- what was the other one that you wanted to watch?
We were talking about a movie earlier. I'm not going to find it right now in this episode.
I don't know.
I'll figure it out when we're done. I totally said I was going to watch something.
I have no idea. What was your fault? You said you had to follow up regardless of if we have it in the
Oh, okay. So since Sean brought up werewolves when we were talking about doing the episode and everything, and like obviously there are some amazing werewolf movies. American Werewolf in London is one of my favorite movies. I actually got taught by one of the guys that worked on it when I was at school, Steve Johnson, who later on did like Slimer and Ghostbusters and a bunch of other really amazing stuff.
So sick.
But I feel like there are some werewolf movies that aren't like appreciated. Like my actual like true favorite werewolf movie is Ginger Snap.
Okay.
So like I was just wondering if you guys have like a more low key werewolf movie that maybe not a lot of people know that you would suggest.
Can I go first, Sean?
Yes, you can. That's actually perfect.
So I for sure do. I don't know if I think I've talked about it in one of our earlier episodes. So I recently just became like a huge fan of werewolves because of this movie. Like I think that they're probably by far my favorite of like the Universal, or not Universal monsters, but like the original like monster groups of monsters. And so there's a movie that came out last year. It's called The Wolf of Snow Hollow. And it's written and directed by this guy named Jim Cummings, who made a super amazing, like make you feel like garbage, but also like make you feel happy at the same time movie called Thunder Road. But it's called The Wolf of Snow Hollow, and it's about like a cop in like a North Dakota or South Dakota, somewhere cold. And there's like a werewolf killing people, essentially. It's good and it's funny and it's my favorite werewolf movie. So
okay.
Fair. Totally fair. I want to watch that. I think I saw you posted on the page or something, and I've heard people talk about it recently.
I did. Yeah, it was on our watch list last week. I wonder, it might be on my movies anywhere, so you might be able to watch it.
For sure. So it's funny. I have not seen a lot of werewolf movies, which is really funny because I've loved werewolves since I was a kid. But I think that when I was first getting into horror, I was really like, I only liked movies that were like scary. I was kind of like pretentious about it, which sucks. So it's honestly only been within the past. Yeah, for real. I was just like, if a movie was like kind of corny or something, unless I was watching it with friends on like a laughing basis, I didn't really like, I was seeking out, like, I wanted to feel freaked out. And a lot of like the couple of werewolf movies that I had seen, it didn't seem like, it just didn't seem like a concept that I could find fear in. So it's only been recently that I've been trying to like explore more. I will say my honorable mention before I give my answer is Underworld is my shit. The Underworld series is my shit. Underworld is my shit. But my answer is Cursed. Have you seen Cursed with Christina fucking Ricci?
Oh my God, I love that one.
Yeah,
that one is
dude.
so good.
Yes. Dude, it's one of the ones that I saw back then, and I was like, holy shit, this is a werewolf movie that I really fuck with. It's not like, it's silly, but it's like scary.
But not a lot of people know about it either.
Yeah,
Fucking Jesse Eisenberg too.
Yeah,
like,
dude. Yes.
What?
Yeah, dude. And I haven't seen it in so long. And I just like, it's funny because I don't even remember everything that happens. I just remember how much I liked it. And I truly haven't seen it in like 8 years. And I think I'm going to re-up on it.
third movie to watch.
Yeah.
tonight.
Yeah. I'm going to watch 3 movies tonight. But
And
yeah,
The
No,
100%.
that's a great movie.
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah. And I love, dude, Christina Ricci.
one. Fuck.
Christina Ricci could knee me in the face and I would say thank you. Like, are you kidding
Oh,
me?
she could spit in my face, punch
Yep.
me in the face, and I'd be like, thank you so much.
Yes,
like, I would be
absolutely.
so grateful.
Yep. This is going to be really interesting when we get her on as a guest. She
Yes.
just
Yeah,
can't-
it's just like, you guys need to calm down. I'm very
Sorry,
uncomfortable.
Christina. Sorry. Christina. That's
so
great.
good.
Yeah. So, well, if you're listening, check out both of those movies. Again, Megan, thank you for being on our Would You Rather segment. Thank you for being on this episode. We appreciate it. Again, follow Megan on TikTok at Cindy_Claire. Not going to mess that up the second time. Again, thank you guys for listening. Like, subscribe, follow, email. And like we said last week, kiss your mom goodnight.
Dude, kiss your mom goodnight, dude.
Hit her right on the mouth.
Yeah. Yep. Let her know.
Bye.
Goodbye.